the most basic stripped down rig that you could possibly get. Yeah, for forever he's run a G27 with a G27 shifter and run on a 19-inch laptop computer. So he makes us fools like me who's spent the retirement on the rig seem pretty silly.
That's true. I mean, you can get it done with the most basic of stuff, and NASCAR Chasm pointed that out. He put on Twitter, uh, "Hey, check it out. This is don't forget Ty Majeski routinely decimated you on iRacing using a folding chair and a desk he picked up off the curb somewhere."
Lightheartedly, I always questioned um, if this was real or not, if he actually raced on something like this. I don't think I've ever seen him race on this, but it's always been known that he's the best using the least. But we did get to see Timmy Hill in the Pro Series a couple years ago racing on a clamp desk and a Logitech wheel with a laptop. So I guess it is possible, but I just, for somebody looking at it like that, it's just like, but you know what? Anything's possible, I guess.
All right, Donnie, the next one is that tweet that you referenced last week. We found it.
Yeah, so it's a tweet from Petty's Garage revealing that an 87 Pontiac, it's the 43 STP from Richard Petty, getting worked on by a couple iRacing staffers. And what the pictures depicted are, so it's the 87 Pontiac, it's the STP car, the 43 car, with a bunch of yellow strips of tape material of some sort, probably for scanning purposes. And then a guy holding a wand over it, like he's scanning those strips. And there's two gentlemen, and one of the guys wearing an iRacing polo. So I think that's where it came from, and it's pretty obvious what they're doing here. I just don't know exactly where it's at. We did reference Dale's Garage before, but this probably might be at the Petty Museum because you can see another Petty car in the background.
So you can also see on the pieces of tape every 5 or 6 inches a little round circle, and I think that's the little sensor thing. And so when it scans it, it's looking for those little dots, and that's why they spread them out all over the car.
Yeah, I'm not surprised they do it this way. I'm just, I guess I am surprised from my own self because stuff I've seen in person before that is used to scan highly detailed stuff usually isn't done in this way, but maybe cars are. I used to see tripods and their scanning devices and they're scanning entire areas. But yeah, so this is cool. If this is all they have to do is just wave a wand across it, and I'm sure there's obviously some computer work in the background.
Well,
what fun?
What it's doing, Donnie? I think we covered a story, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago, Mike, where they said that this is one of the tools that they were reinvesting in. It makes it their job for scanning cars a lot easier, where they can get inside fender wells and things like that to make the detail a little bit better with it, more than the machine that they take outside and scan the tracks with that do a 360 view. It's streamlined their process, I guess, at making it done faster, I guess, or done more efficiently.
Yeah, and that makes perfect sense. What he's got in his hand, you can get in almost anywhere you need to in that car. No, it's great. It's great to see.
So if you look at the replies, the first one is iRacing.com. Wow, that looks pretty cool. So they actually acknowledged the tweet. So yeah, it looks pretty neat.
Only cars that has, like, it's really a distinct body style with this one too. Like, it's a Pontiac, whereas we kind of have the Buick and the Chevy kind of look the same, I think, isn't it? And then the Ford's its own square body. This kind of, I always love the old Pontiacs with the sloped nose.
Now, do you think this picture was supposed to be released?
Yeah.
I don't think it matters.
Yeah. I don't think you get into Dale's garage without people knowing you're there and taking pictures without people knowing about it.
All right, Brian, we got iRacing Colors win again.
Yeah, another iRacer in the winner's circle in real life again. This time it's a staffer from iRacing, Tyler Hudson, who actually picked up his third win in a dirt late model series. And this was at Jackson Motor Speedway, and which is in sorry, I just had it up. It's in Minnesota. Or, sorry, yeah. So it was at Jackson Motor Speedway, and just his third win. He's been doing really well in these late model cars for quite a while now, and just piled up his third win. So congratulations to Tyler.
Yeah, pretty neat. And those are tough cars to run at least in iRacing. For me, I haven't really had a lot of success with them.
Yeah, they're for me extremely tough. Tough cars. It looks like it's Jackson, Mississippi. I'm assuming. Trying to read that address on the banner. But it's cool. I remember this Tyler Hudson fella from the beginning of my time on the service as a guy that would contribute a lot to the forum post. That's where I picked up his name from, and then learning he was a staffer, then hearing about him driving real cars. So it's cool. It's just awesome always to see these guys branch out into whatever they can do in the real world.
Yep. All right, talking about difficult cars to drive, Greg, there's the Mercedes F1 car at Crandon.
I sent this to you, Mike, personally, or over the messenger. I kind of like the idea of this. Was it Bo Albert posted on his Twitter account, taking the F1 car around the dirt Crandon track, and man, it kind of looks like it would be fun to do, and very also like nerve-wracking to try and complete the lap. But I think he guessed what he said was trying to keep the front wing on it was the hardest thing, because it was always nose heavy. It always wanted to dive down on its nose about going around. But man, did he have some good car control in it.
Do we know what a good lap time around Crandon is? Is this comparable?
Oh, but I can tell you, you definitely need the damage turned off, right?
He seems like he has a lot of grip in the corners with that F1 car with on the dirt, but it's the straightaways where he just can't do the speed because of the jumps.
You know, we've seen Red Bull take their car out in some interesting terrain,
snow and dirt.
Yeah, in real life, and it handles pretty well, even if you put chains on it or what. But even when it's just bahaing around dirt, it does pretty well.
It's amazing what downforce will do, right?
Yeah, and imagine. Yeah, I can imagine he's probably got to be real careful on the throttle, because it's got so much power on the rear wheels that if he's mashing the pedal, he's just going to be spinning his wheels like crazy. So I imagine he's doing a real good job of kind of with his throttle control on that in order to keep it from spinning out on him. It's kind of fun to watch. It's kind of funny to watch because the car has so much downforces. When he goes over these jumps, you expect him to take off like the trucks do, but he's kind of like being pushed back down by the wings on the thing. It's kind of neat.
Yeah, what you're talking about there, Brian, like the backstretch part there where he goes over the one bump, it looks like it should get airborne, and it stays perfectly on the ground.
Yeah, a lot of that could be him doing some good throttle control, but it's a clean lap. Other than that, like you guys were mentioning his throttle control, it's actually not a terrible lap around this track in that car. So yeah, he has to be feathering that thing all the way around.
It looks like he's getting around there pretty quick. I mean, I think the trucks kind of slide a lot more and spin and throw mud a lot more than this thing did anyway. I bet you his time on there was very competitive, if not faster than the trucks do it.
Now, is that his rubber? It would have to be his rubber he's running on top of, right? Because it looks like a rubbered in racetrack.
You can set it rubbered in, right?
Yeah, you can set it.
Yeah, that was set in the when he set up the track to have probably just for that reason to keep it from spinning out so bad. Have it rubbered down some.
All right, we're going to hit a couple of topics we've hit on before, but they're kind of reminders. Brian, take a walk around your favorite track.
Yeah, this is from irtrackwalk.com. And what it basically is, you can put in whatever track you want and just like take slow walks around it outside of a vehicle to really get to learn the ins and outs of it. See any kind of any spots you want to hit and things like that. It's really cool tool to really just take slow walks around these tracks. I mean, I guarantee you, real life drivers on road courses are walking tracks all the time just to check it out and see where the any kind of weird anomalies are in the track, what they need to look out for. You can do that in iRacing as well with this irtrackwalk.com.
Yeah, pretty cool. And you can, click the dots as you go that you see way ahead, and it will take you to the next spot. You have arrows to move around, zoom in and out. And then there's even like a VR option. So if you're wearing VR goggles, they have a VR option for the track walk.
I didn't even bother checking this out. I didn't realize you could do it without VR.
Yeah, it's a pretty neat little tool if you're into the track walks. They have a lot of different tracks in the list to choose from. And so, yeah, check it out. All right, I got this one, the BL's offline real world replica rosters. Now, this is for AI. So when you race an AI against the AI group, you want the right names and paint jobs, right? So BL, who's known for doing this for the community with several different series, has now updated the 2022 NASCAR Cup Series Next Gen since AI has been released for the next gen car. And so he says for the 2022 season, I decided to first create a full season roster that can be used for championships. I'm now working on some race specific rosters, which I will continue to add as I complete them. Again, spent some time adding drivers' names to the window banners of every single car in the correct font and as close to correct sizing and placement as I could to add it to the immersion. And so
Question. So
basically, you go there and you download from a Google Drive a zip folder, and you basically unzip it and put it in my documents, iRacing, AI roster.
is this the same guy that does the paints, that collects all the paints for the cars as well?
I don't know if it's that same person or not, but yeah, I'm not sure if it's the same guy. But this guy does this for a lot of. If you go through his forum page and stuff like that, you'll see he does this for all different varieties of cars, from IMSA cars to Indy racing cars. You can get all kinds of rosters and with NASCAR, he's doing race specific schemes. So like, if a car had a different paint scheme at one track at Daytona than they did at Vegas, he would have that separate set of cars just for that race. And then and he's got about like 10 of them right now, 10 races that he has cars race specific paint schemes for each one. And he gives you he gives you little things about how confident he is and how accurate it is. Like some of them he thinks, yeah, this is like dead on 100% accurate. This one's a little off, it might be only be 90% accurate but imagine doing that, not just creating the full field of NASCAR cars, but doing all the variations race by race, which is almost every race is something different. A lot of work. So I really commend this guy for all the time he's put in to do this.
I just can't believe he has that much time on his hand.
Sorry, Greg. I was going to say, I think he's adjusting the AI on the different drivers to be where it should be too. As far as, the driving skill level and all that.
So I just,
Yeah.
I don't want to say I just learned about this, but when I was reading through the script earlier, I saw this and I saw the different series he has. So you can almost, with now the AI is expanding in iRacing, we talked about it last week, but you can almost have your own on the side private console game. And I bet you there's programs out there from these users that have created these fans that you can run your championship standings and have it all automated and have your own personalized game. It's freaking awesome. And these are all done by third party people, not associated with anything, just doing it on their own. So if this is something you like to do and you're willing to do it, I mean, I'm sure they have ways of taking donations because that's a lot of work.
Mike, did you say there's an A that Texas isn't in the AI?
You forgot.
Did you say Texas wasn't in the AI?
No, it wasn't. I went to use it on Tuesday to practice, and I couldn't find it. Maybe it was me. I don't know. But I actually
Were you
typed
using
the
the
word
UI,
Texas.
Mike?
Well, I had to use the new UI because it was AI, right? And so, yeah, I went to go practice for Texas, and I couldn't find it. So I don't know if it was me screwing up or what. So we'll try this. I haven't tried the BL's roster thing since I installed it, really, because Texas wasn't there. But I'll try it, this coming week.
Yeah, so
I really
to
think
your
it's a good
point,
way to. Sorry, I was going to say I think it's going to be a good way for me to practice.
yeah, I think so too. And to your point, Donnie, it doesn't look like if iRacing doesn't support all the tracks with AI yet, you're not really going to be able to do a full replica season. But obviously with this last build, they dumped a whole bunch of AI stuff in. Maybe it won't be too long before they get the whole schedule available.
There's a bunch missing. I was just looking through the actual track list for the ovals. There's a bunch missing.
All right, Donnie, we got a season 4 contest.
So Moza looks like they're holding a season 4 2022, so this season, an F3 contest, and they've announced, stating for them, we're very excited to announce Moza Racing is now the official sponsor of the Moza Racing F3 Championship, the Fix Series, I guess. Now you can enter to win a Moza Racing R5 bundle, and all you have to do is race. So how to enter: you just place the Moza Racing logo found in the iRacing paint shop on your Dallara F3 car in the primary location, race it in at least 10 official races in Season 4, and you're automatically entered to win a Moza Racing R5 bundle. The more that you race, the greater your chance to win. So they're not asking for proof. So is there a way they collect the data from iRacing, and iRacing can track what sponsors you use and what location?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, if you go set
Hello,
the
everyone.
sponsor
Welcome to
logo,
another
they can
video about
obviously track that you're doing that and then see how many races you run, Now, you remember everybody's running trading paints, so most people aren't going to see it anyway.
Yeah, true. So I'd hope if you were going to do this, you'd put Moza on your trading paints car somehow. But yeah, interesting. Has this been done before through a sponsor? Because it sounds like it's pretty
Oh,
cool
yeah.
with some good engagement.
Yeah, it has. And so it's nice because Moza, has some pretty decent stuff, and yeah, pretty neat to be involved. It almost tempts me to go get that car because I'm still running the F2000 and still contemplating where I'm going to go next. And this this is kind of tempting. Okay, Brian, how about the sim racing tips in under 5 minutes?
Okay, yeah, this was a post from Dave Cam on his YouTube page. He goes over like just some 5 minute quick hits on some racing tips to help you out in iRacing. Um, I did watch it, like I watched most of his videos, and was it gave you some good information about how to gauge where you are on the track as far as where your track limits are. Using the dashboard as a reference point for when you're right on the edge of the track surface. Stuff like that was really good information. Something I really didn't think about trying before. Again, it wasn't a long video, but it gave you a couple good tips that really can help you out. So I definitely recommend not just this video, but anything from Dave Cam is fun to watch. I love watching his races and stuff. I like when he does his reviews at the end of the race of all the incidents, and he starts describing what's going on, and he uses things like naughty and words like that. It's funny.
Yeah, I mean, he was purposely rolling it over into the grass to find where on the dash does the line up visually, where he's just this far from being in the grass. So, it's I want to make sure I'm using all the track. I want to get right to the edge of the grass. And if I have that reference point, I can look down, like you said, at the dash where the line on the road is and match it up. That's the limit right there.
That's a fantastic tip because I've never done it, and I'm always too scared to get to the limit. I don't hit that grass. So yeah, definitely next time I'm in a road series, I'm gonna use that tip to see if I can't get even closer to the edge.
Yeah, I didn't even consider that until he pointed it out. It's a neat idea.
With VR, it might skew that a little bit because if you're moving a little bit side to side, as you're going through turns and stuff, it might change your perspective on the dashboard where that line is. But Dave runs triples, so he's always got that steady point to look at. So VR, this might not, you might have to get used to being your head in a certain spot when you go around a corner or something like that, or even on a straightaway to find out where that line is.
All right. Next up, Dylan Duvall at Stewart House. I can't say it. Stewart Haas Racing. Esports driver Dylan Duvall. He was given the red carpet treatment at Stewart Haas Racing over the weekend at Bristol. And he did tweet about his experience and put up some photos. He said, "What an incredible weekend. Can't thank everyone enough for the opportunity. Got to do things as a race fan I never thought I'd experience. Unforgettable. Some great memories for myself and my dad." And pretty neat. He's one of the Canadian drivers up from Nova Scotia, I think.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to see. It looks like is that Wilson that drives the 10 car in the Coke series next to him in that bottom right picture?
Yeah, so the bottom pictures show some of the other Coke drivers that obviously made it out to the Bristol race, and they were able to meet up. I see in the lower left picture Graham Boland on the right side.
Is he on the far right?
Yeah, far right.
Okay, yeah, that's awesome. Especially going to Bristol. That's obviously a destination place for most of us to get to, but yeah, this is awesome to see the real life teams taking care of their esports drivers.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
so
and
cool that they get to walk the track, walk the pit lanes and stuff like that, and go to the haulers and all that stuff. Really cool.
What
yeah,
logo
they
is
got
that on
the
the center of?
passes.
Sorry, Mike. What logo is that on the center of Duval's shirt?
He's got the gear wrench outfit.
No, the one that has the big S in the middle of it, the big black circle. I think he's wearing two different shirts. So if you look at the bottom right picture,
Well, you got Chase Briscoe in the middle, and I believe I don't know who that is on the left.
That's probably Wilson. No, on the right. So to the right of Chase Briscoe. Looks like he's just put a different shirt on.
Yeah, so you're right. It's Steven Wilson, and it's obviously Dylan Duval. But yeah, Steven Wilson, I think he's my favorite for the championship. But yeah, that's him. I just realized. Yeah, pretty cool. All right, Brian, World of Outlaws late models, round 8. Can't hear you.
Got me. So
Yeah.
so the World of Outlaws were round 8 Monday night at Weed Sports Speedway, which is in upstate New York. It's a pretty cool little track. It's like a D-shaped 3/8 oval. Now, when I say D-shaped, you're probably used to the NASCAR tracks where the curved part is in the front stretch. Well, this one, the curved is actually on the back stretch between turns 2 and 3. There's actually no turn at all on the back stretch. It's just one long slope. But what it does is it makes for really tight entries into turn 1 and really tight exits on the turn 4. So it's an interesting little track, and it actually had some really good racing on it. Um, but coming out in on top was once again Evan C. Man, he is just killing it this year. That's his 4th win of the season in 8 races, and of course we know from if you've heard us talk about Evan, his other 4 finishes were all P2s. So he's finished first and second through 8 races now. 2 to go to see if he can continue this top 1 or 2 finish. So his average finish on the season after 8 races is 1.5, which is pretty solid there. Yeah. So second place, the second place in the standings was Blake Majulis. He once again he didn't even qualify for the feature in the heat races. He had to come through the B consolation race, but actually wound up running all the way up to 4th place. Man, what a great run that was for him, just to get some kind of points in that on that day to get through all those cars. And again, second week in a row, 0 cautions, 50 lap race, 0 cautions. So these guys are really putting on great race shows. But Evan really checked out from the field. He actually won by almost 5 seconds. So he really checked out and put everyone behind him. He actually didn't win his heat race. He started the main feature in 5th and wound up getting up to first place within the first 12, 14 laps, I think it was, and just checked out from there. So really good finish for Evan again. As far as points go, he's got a commanding lead. He could probably not even make the features in the next 2 races and probably still win this thing, but instead, he's going to be going for one of the most epic seasons in any championship series I've ever seen in iRacing, where you don't never finish out of the top 2. So next week is Monday night is Volusia Speedway. That's a Florida track, and we'll be looking to see if he can continue this dominance.
As you say that, it kind of rings a bell. Gregor Hutu, back in the day, I think he had a season like this where he was first, second, first, that kind of thing. I don't know how correct I am, but it rings a bell that this may have happened in esports before. But it is impressive. I mean, this race he led the most laps. He had the fastest lap of the race. Just like you said, drove away from him. He could probably miss a race and still lead the points. So well done. All right, what else is well done is the not top 10 video. Man, I really like this one. It was good. I mean, some of
Yeah, a
my
couple.
favorites were, I guess, the one where they flew out over the dirt track. There's no fence or wall at this particular track. You just go over the edge, and there's just a grass hill that goes down. And a couple guys hooked, and they just went over the edge and went tumbling down the grass hill.
Yeah, my favorite was that multi-car race at the end, and you see the flagman not caring that every car is crashing right below him. He's got the white out, and then as soon as he needs to throw the checker, he throws the checker. Doesn't even phase him, doesn't flinch. Good composure by the flagman.
Yeah, Mike, that was Lernerville Speedway, the one with no back wall, where you can go rolling down the hill. If you don't have that track and want to have some fun, that's a good one to go on because you can just practice launching yourself over the over turn twos and just seeing how far you can fly before you zap out back to the pit stall. So it's a pretty fun track, but you'll get stuff like that a lot on that track. Even guys just just barely getting the right rear off of that track sometimes will just go tumbling down it. But that was pretty cool.
You hear the commentator on that part, and he's wee as they tumble down the hill.
So there was a 49 or the Lotus 49s, is that right? At Monza, and the guy was leading, and he's went to the line, and he clips the wall, and he goes flying, and ends up in pit lane. Like he flies over the wall and ends up in pit lane, and the commentator's like, he won the race and he got a pit lane penalty at the same time, or something like that.
Wonder what gets recorded first. You crossing the line, or are you getting your end of the lead lap penalty for going into pit road?
Well, I think you get the line. He got the line first before he went into the pits. So
There was a good one with cup cars at Daytona where basically the whole field crashes and one guy sneaks through. So it's the last lap, so there's not going to be a yellow or anything like that. So he gets through all this damage on the apron, and he's going to win this thing by a mile because everybody else is wrecked behind him. And then when he comes up to make that transition from the apron to the banking, he wipes himself out and winds up not finishing the race either with all the other cars behind him.
yeah, that was a good one. And then the Nordschleife, there was a big pile up where the track blocks up, and then cars are just flying in, piling in, that kind of thing.
Did they have the fog setting on that Nordschleife race as well?
I don't know.
I'll
It
tell
was
you,
a no spotter allowed race.
that track has really grown on me. And I love racing at it now.
Yeah, they had
All
another
right.
one of those. Sorry, they had another one of those Austin Power deals where somebody gets turned sideways on a real narrow pit road and completely blocks it, and he can't get out. That's always a fun one to see.
Yeah, and the guy he hit had to back out or go out backwards. Okay, Coke racer Mitchell DeYoung actually tops 10K iRating in road now. And he put up on Twitter a picture of his road license, and he's got the iRating at 10,023. And so he's like, hey, let's go. After 4 years of sitting around 9.7 to 9.9, streaming some official racing on the Porsche Twitch channel has finally let us get there.
It's pretty cool. Looks like they got more 10,000 members than the oval side does, but yeah, he's one of the good ones.
Yeah, I really wish that they came back to the Porsche series. Those guys, it was really cool having them in there. And man, for Mitchell to be, like one of the top Porsche drivers, and then one of the top oval stock car drivers in the sim, that's pretty solid. And he's awesome, really good on like and the rally stuff on dirt too. So he's just amazing in any discipline on iRacing. Maybe one of the best, if not the best, all-around drivers on the sim.
So the Porsche Super Cup actually starts this Saturday. Um, And it'll be interesting, like you said, to see what the lineup is. I think we're not expecting some of these drivers that we've seen before.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing that Coanda is going to be having their big dogs in that series again. I don't think they were.
Is that due to Grassgate?
No, it was something else. I think it was a
They got,
conflict with another sim, right?
yeah, they got signed by Motorsport to run R Factor, Le Mans series, and they probably got paid well to do it. All right, Donnie, the Sim Racer premiere.
All right, so that sim racing film we've been talking about for a while has finally premiered. The Sim Racer film premiered on September 18th at the Plaza Theater in Midtown Atlanta and will be announced for viewing by streaming networks soon. So I guess they had a open to the public theater debut, and now it'll hit some streaming distributor pretty soon. We just don't know which one.
Ouch. I mean, tough to have a premiere and then you don't have any distribution set up yet. Oh, ouch.
Yeah, it could
I
have
mean, the
just
movie
been.
industry is a mess.
Yeah, it could have just an independent film, and they just wanted to put it in front of. It's not a large theater they're in, but maybe cast and crew and family members of the project, and then they're still working on their streaming deal.
I can't wait to watch it. And I'll find it. Once we hear where it is, I'd like to watch it anyway and see what it's all about.
It'll be interesting. Looks like looking through the pictures, I mean it's a decent sized crowd. I mean, I'm looking at the crowd itself, and they look like everyday folk. So I don't know. Maybe people did travel to go see this.
It looks like a nice crowd. One of the pictures of the theater.
You've got on their banner for their red carpet. They have I see Makoni set up shop. Looks like Torque Motorsports. I can't see some of the other ones, but it got some sponsors back there. At least one of them for sure from the sim side of the space.
Boy, that Makoni setup shop, he gets everywhere, doesn't he? All right, I got the next one, our events. The 2022 Petit Le Mans has been announced, a 10-hour endurance race annually held at Road Atlanta. Date October 7th through the 9th. The 4 usual time slots. Let's see what else. Road Atlanta, 10 hours, 30-minute warm-up, 50 incidents for the stop and go. Field size 45. We got the LMP2, GTD, and GT3 cars.
All right, do any of us run this race?
David might. I think David was running maybe with some of his other buddies, his road buddies. But no, I don't think our team usually only participates in the Daytona race, it seems like.
Yeah, I didn't do it this year, but I really want to do the one that they have at Watkins Glen, that 6-hour race that they have there. I really want to do that one next time it comes up.
Yeah, 6 hours seems very doable if you're going to throw that in the middle of the year. Even 10 hours doesn't seem too bad if you have a couple guys in with you.
Podcast housekeeping. Don't forget to leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform to make it easier for more listeners to find the podcast. Don't forget to mention it to your fellow drivers during the race so they don't miss out. We do appreciate it. Check out our Discord and our website. Apple Podcast appears to be fixed. It was 2 weeks that there was a 4 or 5 day delay before the podcast showed on Apple. Last week, it went right up. So cross your fingers, knock on wood. I think it's fixed. We're in regular rotation at the Performance Motorsports Network and the Sim Racing channel on Roku TV. Brian, fantasy.
All right, guys. So last week was Bristol Motor Speedway, and taking the top spot for the week was iRacing Mason. I like that name, iRacing Mason. Congratulations for taking the win at Bristol. Trick Dickel was second, and Oh Baby 44 third place. The Tifosi guys had a rough one there. I didn't see anybody in the top 15 from
Scroll
Tifosi.
on down.
That's bad.
Brian, you're dead last almost.
Yeah, I missed.
And I'm
Well, first of all, I forgot. I forgot it was a Saturday race until it was too late, and so I didn't change my picks. And then I was gone the week before, so I didn't have any picks in for that race. That was just terrible on my part.
yeah, Tony Groves was 17th. Yeah, we did do pretty good.
Nah, not well at all. So as far as the playoff standings for the league, AJL 14 is in first place for the playoffs. iRacing Masons in second, Mud Dogs third. But at least we have somebody in the top 15, top 10 really for the overall playoffs, and that would be the Spiker Man, Donnie, 8th place, 604 points.
Woot woot.
Not
Yeah.
not too far out of the top spot. I mean, you're a couple good weeks, you could be right there.
You had a couple good first weeks. Last week wasn't the best, but we'll see how Texas goes. I don't know. Bristol is a little unpredictable. Apparently, that's how it turned out. Everybody's popping tires and whatnot. So, but we'll see.
All right, hardware software is brought to you by Supreme 3D Printing. Are you looking for that next sim rig upgrade? Or maybe your man cave needs a little more style, or is your wife wanting to redecorate your home? Well, we here at Supreme 3D Printing have you covered. We create and print tons of different and useful items that is sure to fit everyone's style and budget. If you don't see what you're needing, feel free to contact us. They have an Etsy store, Supreme 3D Printing. All right, Donnie, this one's for you. I picked this one out specifically for you this week, and it's the Advanced Sim Racing Pro Edition.
Yeah, I'm not getting this one, but this one looks nice. This is probably going to be their top rig at the moment. But Advanced Sim Racing is announcing the price to their Asr Pro Sim Chassis with a flat face aluminum extrusion. ASR promises that this chassis will be the strongest 80/20 rig on the market. So I'll go over some of the details with it that's different than their strongest one they have now, which is the AR6, or sorry, the ASR6. And so this will, like they're saying, the flat face extrusion. So along the side panel, the bottom portion of the rig, it'll be a smooth face, so you can apply vinyl wraps to it if you'd like. So it doesn't really allow a lot of, can't really attach anything at that point because it's smooth facing, but it's going to be $1,999, $1,999 in Canada, and $1,649 down here in the U.S. And that's about $500 to $600 more than the ASR6 that they have right now.
Now that you point out the flat surfaces, I kind of like the ASR6 because you're right. I mean, how would you modify this if you wanted to add stuff, you know?
Yeah, I thought the exact same thing. And you get it in lime green or their infinite black. So you have to really like green to want this one. But they did say in the future, though, with this particular rig, that they'll allow different color options as it goes along. But for now, on launch, it'll be the green or their black.
Okay, so pre-order is November 1st. shipping first quarter 2023.
Yeah, so I watched the SRG's review of the ASR 6 and saw zero movement in the rig when he was abusing. He had the Pro Sim H pattern on there. He had hydraulic pedals with it as well, and there was no flex to nothing with the NRG seat as well. But for this one, I mean, that's a pretty beefy front DD mount that this thing comes with.
It's hard to tell because you can't really zoom in, but you're right. The wheel mount is a different design than their current models. It does look pretty beefy.
Yeah, I can imagine. I don't know if the flat face on an engineering standpoint will eliminate the flex because it's already strong to begin with. So I don't know. I mean, maybe it makes it stronger without having the little groove, the channels on the outside, maybe. But heck, their 6 is pretty dang solid as it is.
You know, looking around my rig right now at all the different things I've mounted to the outside where they have flat metal, I have a lot of stuff actually.
Yeah.
And so just trying to think, where would I put all that stuff if I couldn't put it there, you know?
Yeah, so even the uprights, you're right, are flat as well. There's no mounting unless you go on the inside of the upright for the motor stand. But also, so where would you, Brian? Where would you hook your motion system to this?
Ooh, good
Yeah,
point.
without those with those flat parts around the thing, I don't know how you would do it. Yeah, you got to have the channels on the side for mounting. Um, you might be able to use the rail that's at the top, but I don't know if I would trust that one single rail with as heavy as duty as those things are and as strong as those units are. I don't know if I would trust that.
So they do say in their post, it says down the road, flat face aluminum profile will allow for unlimited customization, but then it follows up with the UV print and the vinyl print. So I don't know if they mean that unlimited customization as aesthetically you can apply a wrap to it, but yeah, I don't know. I agree with you guys.
You
Yeah,
know, I'm
well,
thinking,
I'm
sorry,
sorry, Mike.
Brian, I was thinking corporate version, like, hey, I have a business, I want 6 of these things, but I want them, you know, I want to put my branding on them. I want to vinyl wrap it.
Yeah, that could work for these cafes that people want to start bringing up potentially.
You know, in a corporate environment like that, I mean, you're not worried about, oh, customization. I want to add this and that. You probably have a set, you know, the basic equipment. You're not really getting all the bells and whistles, you know. I like that color, that green.
Yeah, actually, the green is not bad at all.
All right, and then Brian, the Fanatec podium button module rally first look.
Yeah, so this is a product from Fanatec, and it's a module that just attaches to the to your steering wheel. It's got like 3 encoders and I don't know about 10 different buttons, something like that. They're all LED backlit, and you can program the different colors on it. It's meant to work with the podium hub, so you have to have that unit in order to make it work right. But and it can be used on the different wheels. This one particular one is set up on the rally wheel, and it gives a lot of the feedback the Fanatec regular wheels use, as far as little LCD screen at the top that gives you some information on it. I'm sure the buttons are all programmable, and I'm assuming because it's using the podium hub, I couldn't find how it connects to the hub, but um, there should be a wire coming off the back of this thing that can plug right into the podium hub. That's how I have my podium hub and I use the buttons from the universal hub on it to be able to connect to get some buttons on that unit. So yeah, so it's pretty not a bad looking set of buttons, and it's customizable. You can use it on different rims and stuff. It's a interesting looking product.
Yeah, it actually solves a problem some people would have if they want to run their own wheel on top of a podium hub, but they don't have options for buttons. And then this is gonna, because what they sell, the button packs, the little 3 button pack options that you plug into the hub. So it looks like you could take those off, utilize this button pack on top of your wheel, and then that will obviously, like you said, plug it into the podium somehow.
So
Yeah, I think you're right, Donnie. It's pretty much how I think it's going to work there. And which means it can work with other brands of wheels too, other than, with the podium hub, it's just got the different bolt patterns. You can use other brands of wheels on it. I have an MPI wheel that I have attached to a podium hub, and yeah, I could probably make this thing work. But I already used the 3 button clusters, like you were talking about, Donnie, with the that came off the universal hub for my buttons. But yeah, this would be another alternative to something like that. You can get a little bit more functionality out of your wheel. Sorry, Mike, go ahead.
oh yeah, I was just gonna say, when the buttons are lit up, it looks just like my wheel, the Cube controls. It's literally the same kind of LED and button. It's got the same look, which I thought was fascinating. And also, this guy Chris Hay, the video guy, he's just too happy for this whole video. I don't know what's so funny or why he's smiling so
He's
much, but
always like
uh,
that in all of his videos. Yeah.
it's just a little bit odd.
I actually haven't seen him before.
Uh,
This is my first video I watched of his.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's a neat idea. You have to reach your hand into it. I don't know if you're going to reach these kind of buttons without letting go of the wheel. Maybe.
I think it just solves a problem some people have that might need it. Yeah, I don't know. It's not going to lure me back into the Fanatec, space, but it's a good option. I would definitely, if I was sticking with Fanatec, I'd be buying it for my open wheel rim that I have no buttons for.
Well, it's
Yeah, and
not for sale yet. Yeah.
I think that's probably why they're showing it on the rally wheel, because the rally wheels are a little smaller. Maybe you can reach more buttons with it as opposed to one of the bigger stocker type of wheels where you probably couldn't reach those buttons from your normal hand position.
Yeah, and it says here down below the video, Fanatec was kind enough to lend me a pre-production prototype of this button module. So more to come on that one. All right, follow up from previous week. The previous week we talked about a wooden steering wheel that a guy made on a lathe. Um, we did receive a message after the episode aired from listener Cam Porter. He said, "It's nice that you guys liked my steering wheel, but hey, you didn't even mention my name or the name of my YouTube channel." And so we're doing that today. Cam Porter, wow, you had a great looking wheel there. You can check out that wheel and other great woodworking projects at his YouTube channel called Cammy's Garage.
Yeah, when I saw that message, I thought, man, we don't usually make that mistake quite often. I'm sure we cite most of our sources, but good on him for making us aware. Going forward, obviously we don't make that mistake again. But yeah, but I don't know if you got a chance to go to his channel, Mike. But he does. It's not a sim racing woodworking channel. It's just a bunch of different woodworking, and it's a good channel, clean channel, and clean by as in it looks good. The production value looks good, and a lot of his projects are pretty awesome.
Yeah, well done. Looks good. Okay, Brian, how about Ethereum mining is a thing of the past?
Yeah, this came out of the iRacing forums, and there was a post saying that with Ethereum mining being a thing of the past, will GPU prices start to drop? The theory being that people were gobbling up these GPUs at a fanatic rate because they want to get these computers built in order to mine for these Ethereum and other types of crypto stuff. So if Ethereum's off of the market for being one of these contenders for GPUs and mining, is that going to affect the price? Well, I would think it would probably have a little bit of a price, especially when it always seems to happen when the new boards roll out and they have all the and they just disappear like instantaneously. Like we'll be talking a little bit later about the new Nvidia series of graphics cards. There'll be a countdown basically when these things are released on the market, and they'll disappear before you even get a chance to refresh your page. And I know there have been some problems with bots and stuff like that buying them all up. And but are these people who are doing crypto mining that are putting these orders in and gobbling up these cards and increasing the demand and raising the price? That's kind of the question that this post kind of asks.
It's a good question because you would think all the bots and all that stuff was for the crypto stuff. Now that that's over, maybe it won't be a problem.
Yeah, we've been seeing a drop in prices for GPUs for at least 2 or 3 months now. I'm not a tech guy in any way. Man, lost my thought there. But yeah, we've been seeing the prices drop recently, actually. But with the new cards coming out, like you said, prices are going to come down anyway.
Well, we had a story a couple of weeks back saying that GPU prices were going to come down because Nvidia just had too many cards now. Maybe they overproduced for some of the um, shortages in production during the pandemic and whatnot, and maybe they overproduced. Now they have a surplus of cards, and the prices might have been coming down to that. Not to mention the release of the new series cards, and they want to get these 3000s sold before everybody wants the new next gen series. So um, there could be a lot of reasons why those prices have been dropping. Um, Crypto mining, I just don't know enough about it to be able to say that these guys being out of the market for GPUs is going to be that big of a impact on pricing.
I've regained my thought. I thought I've heard from someone that the new cards coming out will disallow you to be able to mine for crypto. I may be completely wrong, but I thought that's what I heard. So that might be something the future cards are built with.
I had heard that too at some point. But now that Ethereum is just completely done away with the need for it, that's what this story's about. But the other thing that happened this week regarding NVIDIA that I'll mention that we really don't have a story on is EVGA. Is that what it's called? That company has decided they're no longer going to do graphics cards. And so, as you know, when you buy a graphics card like that, you can get the Founders Edition, which you're literally buying an NVIDIA card directly from them, or you buy it from a different manufacturer like MSI, EVGA. I think mine was an MSI. Gigabyte is another one. And so the company known as EVGA, they came out and basically said, we're no longer going to do business with NVIDIA. We don't like their business practices. Uh, Apparently, the practice of them not announcing a price for the card until the last second is too much for them, and they're going to go a different direction.
So who are they going to work with then?
They're just not going to do graphics cards at all. They're just going to do power supplies and motherboards and whatever else they do.
Seems like a large portion of your business to just walk away from it.
Yeah, the interview I read or heard, I think it was 80% of their revenue is from the video cards, and they're walking away from that.
Yeah, it doesn't.
They're not going to work with AMD or any other manufacturer either.
Seems a bit odd.
I don't know if we know the full story behind that, but yeah, that happened.
On the NVIDIA side, who's the big third-party supplier for those, like you mentioned?
You know, like besides EVGA, like I said, MSI,
Are they
Gigabyte,
the biggest ones?
I think so. I mean, I've seen all three of them, so I can't think if there's any more. All right, how about some opposite of Sim Coach pedals, Donnie, from China?
Yeah, so Sim Racing Corner, we get him every week now. Reviews the Sim Jack mini pedals, and you can buy these on AliExpress. I didn't check the price real quick. Did he like these pedals, Mike?
I mean, he did. They were $224. I mean, for what you're getting and what you're paying for, I mean, they're not too bad. I mean, he didn't have good things to say about the clutch, though. I mean, to be honest, the clutch he didn't like at all, but the brake and the other one were acceptable.
Yeah, there was a time my wife bought a lot of stuff from AliExpress, probably early on in my action figure days. Then I was telling her, "You're buying bootlegs, lady. Stop it." But it would take like months for this stuff to get here. So I don't know how long, but now I'm looking at the price, $223 for these pedals. We're going to talk about some pedals a little later on and what's worth it or not. But yeah, from AliExpress, I've been watching some videos on some sequential shifters from AliExpress lately, and I might have to have something to hold me over before Lawrence comes out with theirs. But their little sequential shifter from AliExpress doesn't seem terrible. But these pedals, they look good.
Yeah, they got some adjustment in them and whatnot. But, you get what you pay for.
Now, did they come with plates, mounting foot plates, heel plates, or anything?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I didn't see anything either.
And I think you're just buying the 3 independent pedals, and you got to mount them to whatever you have.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine not having a heel plate. That just doesn't work too good.
You know, you can find, like, this almost tempts me to want to build a AliExpress rig because that price is kind of crazy, and just see how it is. But Bobby,
See how much it adds up.
yeah, I bought that, or my son did, the SSH sequential from Europe that Bobby Jonas has. That thing's fantastic. It's a 3D printed body. The inner workings are pretty awesome and tight. And I hear my son rocking it every other hour in there. And I mean, yeah, you can find some little tiny diamonds and some weird places.
Yeah, that 3D printed shifter is pretty cool. All right, what else is cool is sim racing apps. One of my go-to free apps I use every time I race. And they got a new update out. And one of the things I used in the new update was I added pit lane closed or open lights, like it's red or green. And I kind of put that under where the yellow flag shows. And so now I can see if pit road's open or closed. I don't know if that helped me or not, but I thought it was pretty cool.
You know, that makes sense. When you posted that picture earlier, I thought that was your pit limiter. And I'm like, well, we have a miles per hour gauge. But that makes sense now because I can never tell. I have to stare at that box and make sure it's red or green.
Yeah, I just thought it would be easier. That was one of the things they listed in the release notes. So I thought, oh, okay, I'll try it. And yeah, I kind of liked it.
How's their track map?
I haven't tried track map, but he definitely indicated they made some updates to it with some of the new tracks and different things that have been added recently.
That's one thing I've yet to really put on as a track map, and sometimes I wish I had one.
Yeah, he calls it Pit Road Lights is the new widget. But yeah, I mean, I have a lot of stuff running with sim racing apps. I got temperature, oil, and water temperature gauges. I have brake bias.
You run
I
these on
have
another screen, or do you run these on your tablet?
some of these are overlays on the triples, and some of them are on the fourth screen above. I run the pit crew widget as well on the screen above, and that's where I get my fuel calculations and my how many laps in a run number. Can't recommend that software enough. It's called simracingapps.com. All right, Brian, we got new pedals from Fanatec.
Yeah, Fanatec had a little YouTube video with kind of announcing the release of their new CSL Elite pedals version 2. So they've upgraded the version 1 pedals to these new version 2s. They're still load cell. One of the reviews on it, we got a review from Boosted Media with Will Ford over there at Boosted Media, and he was really surprised with these pedals. He thought they were, and his comments were saying that for the asking price, he think they're outstanding value and a clear upgrade from the original previous version. So he thought the overall performance was similar to the V3s with the tuning kit installed, so easy adjustment provided. A lot of good things he said about this, based on his review, especially based on the original first version of these pedals. So it looks like Fanatec might have got a winner here with this new set of pedals that they have out.
Yeah, $300. Yeah, compare that to what we just looked at 225. I mean, that's a night and day difference. It really is.
Yeah, I have I don't anymore. Sold them to my son, but I had I guess we'd call them the V1s, the Elite pedals, and aesthetically they look the exact same. But the big difference you were talking about, Brian, is in the brake pedal and the load cell there has been retooled and revamped. And that's where Will was really going on about how much better it is. And the mounting. So to mount those CSL Elites, I don't know who approves this stuff when it goes and hits market. It's got to hit some chain of command somewhere. And then they're like, yes, it's great. And they probably have no experience sim racing. But to mount those originals, you have to get, it's almost like you have to MacGyver it onto your platform. But with this, they've updated it now. So they have holes on top to you just unplug it. And then now you can wrench your tool through the top and then cover that hole back up. But before, you had to go in through the side in like a 1/2-inch space that was like 3 inches inside. It was a pain. But so an upgrade to that was pretty cool to see. But so I'm sure those V1s will be losing support over time, I imagine.
Is it like 3D printed? It's like a hard plastic almost.
No, they're metal.
They're metal. Okay.
You're talking about the actual pedal mechanics?
Yeah, just the material. I mean, you
they're
can't
metal.
tell what it is.
It's they're aluminum. I forgot how you make that outside. It's a textured paint covering it, most likely. Yeah, they're actually
Let's
a
keep
solid build. Yeah.
Man, we have a ton of hardware. Let's keep rolling on new stuff. Brian, AMD has new Ryzen chip.
Yeah, so they're starting to get some of the websites are starting to show these AMD Ryzen chips set out, so that they're just about ready to be ordered. I know we had a review on them recently that said that they're really outperforming the AM or the
Intel.
Intel chips. Yeah, the Intel chips are actually outperforming those. So they're getting ready to be released. So probably going to need a new upgrade on your motherboard in order to get this thing in. But wow, it's I don't know if in my opinion, I've had more, I've heard of a lot more problems with the AMD chips with a lot of the iRacing stuff, especially I would say the iRacing stuff with the VR stuff. The AMDs for some reason have had notorious problems with the Reverb G2s. They made a special cable just because the AMDs didn't work with it for a while. So that would be only my reservation about the AMDs is how well they are compatible with all the hardware that's out there. But other than that, as far as raw performance, man, this chip has been really good.
Yeah, I run the 7 in my system, and I haven't had a problem. But then again, I don't run VR with the computer side of it, that chip. But I don't know. I am hearing now, and I got to learn more about it. What's better for iRacing, and we're hearing Intel and NVIDIA for iRacing, but I run the AMD stuff. So I got to know, because especially when I bump up, do I want to switch to their side, or do I want to keep going the AMD route? So do my research.
Well, kind of what I wanted to talk about on this was try to, talk about the naming of these chips. I mean, the one that they keep talking about is the X3D, and there's going to be different versions of the X3D. There'll be the 5800, the 7800, and apparently the 7800 X3D is going to be the one to get. The way I'm going to look at this is I'm going to wait until we see on the forums what the community says about it. Is it better than Intel? Yes or no? And then that'll be the benchmark going forward. From the way this thread reads, I think people are hopeful that this is going to be way better than the current best. Like,
How much do we
as far
need?
as raw gigahertz, 5.8 gigahertz, 6.1 gigahertz, whatever it is.
What does iRacing actually need for you to run? Like, do you need the best chip on planet Earth to run iRacing?
My understanding is we're chip limited or CPU limited, not graphics card limited most of the time. So you buy a really nice, 4080, the new 4080, you have the best, or 4090, the best card on the planet. That's not your limit. Your limit is your CPU. Let's keep going. Donnie, a new equipment from, well, maybe from Thrustmaster.
So Thrustmaster put out a tease a couple days ago of what they're coming out with their new DD. So Thrustmaster announced on Twitter a full reveal of their PC direct drive base on November 17th at 4 p.m. CET, whatever that is, wherever that's at, on their Twitch channel. So tune in to their Twitch channel for their direct drive announcement. I was reading through the replies on this one, and not a lot of positive. Well, I guess there's positive, but a lot of people questioning the timing of it, if it'll be ready for the holiday season and whatnot. But it's weird that they announced their direct drive, and then we get that other announcement a couple days ago.
You saw what I replied to him, right?
No, what'd you say? I may have.
Let me see if I can find. It says, I replied, "This is the most drawn out, most ill-conceived marketing campaign I have ever seen."
And then I responded by, it probably means they're nowhere near ready. I'm curious what their price is going to be after the price we saw yesterday or the day before. I wonder if they were waiting and they knew that other company was going to come out with a price. And they're like, let's just see what theirs is before we announce ours. Because, yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, it was November last year, Brian. They were teasing us with this, and we were having the same discussion about how, every 6 to 8 weeks they put out some tease.
Right, that's exactly right, Mike. I was just gonna say, they would put out like some tease about it. It's got LED lights, and then stay tuned for the next drop. It's 3 months from now. It was like, come on, you're just teasing these, giving little drabs every couple of months, and then with no end in sight. Well, so yeah, you're right. So finally, maybe in November, he's still got almost 2 months to go before they. I don't even know if it's going to be ready at that point. It said it's just going to be revealed. It could
That's a
just be the
reveal,
specs.
right?
Yeah, that could be just the specs, what it looks like, what it'll work with, with no end in sight as far as actually delivering it on shelves. It's kind of you're right. It's been one long drawn out process. I almost rather than just been quiet this whole time and just deliver it within a short period of time.
There's a response a little bit further down, 17th of November, and then I'll wait for the console DD in 2029.
Well, it's kind of a running joke now. I mean, maybe the marketing people at Thrustmaster, they're just dealing with what they've been given. Maybe it's out of their control. They thought it was coming out a year ago. It didn't. They were marketing for it. It never happened. Here we are a year later. Wow.
Now, are the two biggest sim racing peripherals in terms of sales volume Thrustmaster and Logitech?
I don't know.
Like making the most revenue because they're in brick and mortar. They are cheaper, so they can sell more. They're for an entry level.
You would think so, but I'm sure Fanatec's right there with them.
I think Fanatec hits that mid, like you kind of know what sim racing is. I'm not strolling the Walmart shelves looking for Fanatec, but it just seems like these two companies have a disconnect a little bit in my mind, especially with how long out this process has been and what we saw yesterday.
Yeah, to be one of the two big companies, like you said, that has great distribution, they're pretty freaking late to the direct drive game. You know what I mean? Especially Thrustmaster.
It's almost, do they need to have a direct drive? Do they need to be in that market at all? Because they're doing just fine doing what they do. I mean, they make a fine entry level wheel to get you going, or some people like it. Some people don't want to leave it and they like the feel of them, but I don't know.
Okay, Brian, let's switch back to NVIDIA.
So the announcement was made official this past week. I think it was Tuesday. It came out that NVIDIA is releasing their new graphics cards, the 4000 series, the 4080 and 4090. And the official date for release is going to be October 12th. So it's coming up pretty quick. There was a couple good videos. Jay's 2 cents YouTube video. He does a really good breakdown of these cards and goes through some of the specs of it and some of the pricing and all that stuff. So that is a good video to watch if you want to get a lot of information on these. Very detailed, technical oriented questions. Some of the things that I took out of it was like one of the things that he mentioned was that how thick this card is. It's I think it's going to be at least a 4-slot card, so it's just massive. Yeah, so that's a massive card. Some people, I don't know if everybody's going to have room for them in their cases. That's a big jump if you're coming up from a 2-slot or something like that. But so yeah, so these are coming out really soon, and we'll see how it goes when these things hit the market. Like I said, when the 3000 series hit, it was just a crazy release. There was all kinds of problems with it, all kinds of bots buying them up.
Sold out.
The prices just the retail prices, suggested retail price was like triple immediately of what it was what they were listing at. So they teased them at these prices. I can't remember what they were from the video, but I think the 4080 was like around $800 maybe, and like but when the 3000 series were released, the list price that they listed for those was nowhere near what you could buy them for, nowhere near it. So it'll be interesting to see how this happens. It's going to be fun to watch.
So there's basically three: the 4090 at 1500, the 4080 with 16 gigabyte RAM at 1200, and then the same 4080 with less RAM, 12 I think, for 300 less at 900. So 1500, 1200, or 900. Now, Jay's 2 cents video and some other videos I watched basically are saying, the one with the lesser RAM is basically shouldn't be called a 4080. It should really be a 4070 or something like that. And so people are giving NVIDIA a hard time about that. The way that they're naming these things. Like when you go to buy a 4080 off the shelf, you don't even have all the specs on the box. And he said there's a difference in what did they call it? CUDA core, which is some kind of measurement of how fast it processes. There's different cores in the different models of the 4080. They're not the same, even though there's nothing in the marketing or on the box that you would think to let you know that they wouldn't be the same. You would just assume they are, but apparently they're not. So do your research if you're getting the 4080. Go with the $1,200 one, not the $900 one, was what I was hearing. It's worth that difference. It's extra 300. But hey, if you're spending 1,200, might as well spend 1,500 and get the 3090, the 4090.
Yeah, that's a good point, Mike, because those things. If you're just searching 4080, you're going to see these price differences, and you might not get into the details of why one's so much cheaper than the others. So that's a good point. Another thing that I saw from his video was, and I again, it's beyond my ability to explain technically or understand probably technically, but he said that there's room for basically a 4090 Ti, that these cards have the capability of a higher performance than even what they're releasing. So he expects to see a Ti version of the 4090 coming out at some point. So that's another thing that you might be looking forward sometime in the future.
Yep. Man, can you imagine I was just starting to think this week about maybe it's time to start planning a build. Get a 4090, get this new X3D AMD chip, and go to town with it. Wow, I mean, we're talking $4,000 or something now for a computer.
Just wait for the 5 series to come out, and then you'll get your 4090.
Yeah, but then we'll want the 5 series.
I'm usually a series behind because I don't know. It's weird. But once I get the rig going and it's where I want it to be, then maybe I'll work on the next computer. But I don't know. I'm usually a series or 2 behind when it comes to that, just price-wise. And I really do nothing on this computer other than iRacing. I might cut some corn, and I might shoot a deer. That's it.
All right,
You said
so
corn, right? With a
Yeah.
C? Okay,
Yeah,
good,
yeah,
good.
yeah.
Just checking.
now there's one more story I want to hit, and I don't see it on the script. I don't know what happened, but Logitech announced their direct drive wheel. It's called the G Pro, and it's $1,000. It includes the wheel. It does have a quick release, and it comes off. There's only one wheel available. There's not other wheels, but that probably means there might be wheels available in the future. Logitech did not say one way or the other. But it's got 11 Newton meters of force. It's big. It's plastic. Will Ford from Boosted Media said it's not flat on the bottom. It's got like 2 little pads which really help it when they clamp it to a desk, but the little pads don't remove, which makes it a little more challenging to mount it proper on a rig. It kind of sits tall and at an angle. I don't think you can do anything about the angle much, but I noticed I would have to move my center monitor back and up a little bit if I was to use that particular base because of the size of it. Uh, the overall wheel looked pretty good. The buttons, the layout, it was kind of round with a flat on the bottom. Will Ford really was hoping they would do a fully round wheel if they're only going to give one, for rally purposes and that kind of thing. But overall, it was a fairly good review. I had some chatting on some of the Facebook groups about this product with some other drivers and talking about price point. And I think we came to a consensus that this thing is overpriced by about $400.
Yeah, we talked about it quite a bit in our own little group chat yesterday, but I watched the pedal review, and after watching the pedal review, I watched Boosted Media's as well for the pedal review. And did you guys watch the pedal before I go any further?
I did.
Okay. I was listening to it while driving, so I actually didn't get to visually see it yesterday. Did he say that it cannot mount to anything?
He had trouble mounting it, something along those lines.
So it's almost like it's a direct drive targeted for almost console players. It's going to mount to a desk. It's not going to mount to a chassis, just for the things you're talking about for the direct drive and how it's weird, doesn't really sit flat in the pedals itself. I'll have to go back and watch it because that's what I thought I heard him say. And so it almost seems like it sits flat on the floor for a load cell. Was it a load cell?
Yeah, it's just like set on the carpet kind of thing,
That's weird. And those were what, 400?
Yeah, so those were additional costs beyond the 1,000 for the wheel.
So 1,400 to get yourself a wheel and a set of pedals with this new Logitech.
I don't know. I mean, some other people in the Facebook group are saying it's not that bad a price because, if you got a CSL DD and you got, a nice wheel to go with it and the booster pack, roughly adds up to 1,000 too.
The CSL DD and the Moza Mini, I mean, they're small. They're not these big. I mean, that Logitech one was almost the size of a DD1, DD2.
Taller, almost, yeah, and wider. Maybe not as deep, but yeah. It had an interesting airflow, like it had a fan suck in on the front and blew out the back, apparently. You hook the pedals to it with like regular USB-A cables, and I think Will was saying, man, for this kind of price for a pro piece of equipment, man, give us USB-C,
Yeah, it's just very strange. And then he said it's not going to be in brick and mortar stores like most Logitech stuff is. You can find it pretty easily. So I don't know who's going to seek this out. Maybe it'll hit a different kind of industry where it's going to be sold in mass to. I don't know.
Well, I'm trying to think of, who's going to buy this product, People that listen to this podcast, I don't think are going to buy this product.
No.
I think people getting into the game the first time, and they've heard about iRacing or a set of Corsa, and they're trying to get some equipment going, and maybe money's not an object. And like you said, they walk into a Walmart or a Target, and there it sits. Yeah, that's the target, I think.
Yeah, it's interesting. We'll see. Because what were the new consoles? $500? No, that the last generation came out with. So now your peripherals have got to be more, I guess. But yeah, very strange. I don't know if the SimuCube Pro is the best wheel on the market. A lot of people think so, but that's $1,200 to $1,300 when it's all said and done. So
All right, let's jump on to results. The NASCAR iRacing series. Let's finish up Bristol Friday Open. I got a P9. I got caught up in a few different incidents. I had 4 minutes damage. At one point, was doing repairs. The car turned off, and it literally would not turn back on. I had to get out of the car and back in to get it to start. And then I didn't beat the pace car off, and I had a penalty to pit under green for a 20-second hold. Now, 3 laps down, I just soldiered on. Amazingly, that was still a top 10 with attrition. I ended up getting the 9th. All right, Stephen Llewellyn was wrecked out. Tony Rochette wrecked out. Got a little greedy and doored and walled myself while trying to take the lead. Just parked it with 15 minutes required.
Yeah, it looks like David Hall finished P21. He wrecked out on purpose, or he was wrecked out on purpose by a lap car. Just because I and another were fighting for a lucky dog. Also suspect the 50 seconds of optional I got. Avoid an early wreck, but hurt the long run. I blew out a tire, and that doesn't usually happen.
Blew a tire. Wow. All right, Sunday Open. Tony Rochette, P4. Man had another rocket ship on long runs. Did a green flag stop with 60 to go in third and ended up getting screwed once again as the caution came out while I was still 3 laps down. Did end up finishing 1 lap down. Looks like David Hall was wrecked. He said net code. And then Sunday fixed. I got a DNF. I actually got involved in the second caution on lap 13. I plowed into some guys that were running along the wall. I got jostled around good, decided not to even pit to look for damage and keep that track position. I was P14. 63 laps later, I finally did get tires. Only 14 seconds damage, restarted P15. 22 lap run to the next caution, I got up to 7th. With about 100 laps down, I have fresh tires. They started coming up through there, and I net coded the guy on the outside. We were about a foot apart. I showed the video to the team. I mean, Greg said I drifted up just enough for the net code to happen. But I was marching through there. They had old tires, I had new, and I was just being a little too aggressive, I think, but yikes. All right, let's move on to Texas, Wednesday Open.
Yeah, it looks like David wrecked out on his own. Said he had decent mid-pack speed, but he made a bad adjustment, made the car too loose to manage.
Yeah, and I was the only one to finish. Kyle, Tom, and Steven all wrecked out. And I got a P16. Pretty much ran P22 the whole race. There were no cautions. The second green flag stop, immediately after I finished taking tires, the yellow flag came out. I was running 17th at the time. That put me back to 25th. Going on to the end of the race, I was up to 17th. We get a late caution with a green-white checker. I restarted 16th, ended 16th. I ran today, Thursday Open, P19. Ran around 10th for the good part of the race at the beginning, but then got doored by some lap cars, mixing it up with the leaders. Got spun way down to the inside on the pit road. So I had the extra penalty of unsafe pit road entrance or whatever. So I ended up 2 laps down. I eventually got a wave around and just brought it home after that, P19. Moving on to other official, I ran F2000 at Outland Park. Car number 11 out of 11, top split. I qualified P3. I was running P5 after the start, about lap 5. P4 went off the grass. I went to go around him into the next corner, and I was just a hair slow, and he ran over the back of me, dumping me down to the inside wall, took off the whole front clip. My only start of the week. I wrecked it. How about A Open, Donnie?
Yeah, so it was my first A Open, and that was for Bristol last week. I hadn't driven one before, but I qualified seventh, finished P6. The set we had last week, for me at least, for Bristol, had great long run speed on the 70 lap average. Utilizing Stint Analyzer for one of the first times I was able to see that I had the third best speed across that long run we had. But Bristol was good. I haven't been able to race since Friday night, so hopefully tonight I get into my B car, and then I'm racing NIS with you guys tomorrow night at Texas. Got to work on one of those sets.
I'm not comfortable at Texas. I tell you what, I just feel like I'm on the verge of wrecking coming out of every corner. It's tough.
It's got a weird turn one too. Like you just got, well, after you get the rhythm down, it's not too bad. But when you first go into turn one, it just looks weird because it's so big.
All right, let's jump on to final thoughts. Brian McCubbin.
Well, I'm happy to say that I got my my problems figured out with iRacing. I do want to acknowledge that I reached out to iRacing technical support, and they were very helpful. They responded to my messages a couple times over, and finally got everything squared away. Also, want to thank Steve Thompson from the OBRL League. Reached out to me personally and said, "Hey, man, I'm willing to help you out and try to figure this thing out with you," and had some thoughts of his own. But I actually got it working right before I had a chance to get back to him. But I still called him and talked to him and told him about it, how everything went. And he was really supportive, really helpful, just really a great guy. So I really appreciate that help. So it turned out to be after all this, dumping my Windows, reinstalling iRacing, reinstalling Windows. It turned out that it was a problem with my modem. When I had to do I did a factory reset on my hotspot modem, and what do you know? It started working, which is so weird because everything else worked just perfectly normal. All my other games, my kids' games work fine, streaming works fine, everything worked fine. But for whatever reason, that resetting my hotspot fixed iRacing. So now now I'm going to have to spend about 3-4 weeks reinstalling everything and redoing all my settings and all that stuff. But I'm really looking forward to getting it all done and get back to racing. I want to try to get back into an OBRL race this Monday night in the ARCA series and go from there and hit some NIS late series stuff.
Well, congratulations on finding the problem. Man, that was elusive there for a while. So it is very good news that you found it.
Yeah, thank you. I'm really, really. It's such a relief, knowing how much you put into all this stuff, and just to think there might be some kind of issue that I can't figure out why it's not working. So, I tried 4 different suggestions from iRacing. I sent them files from my log files and stuff, so they could examine it and see what was going on. They just kept going from one thing to the next, and the last thing they'd asked me was try resetting my modem, and damn it, that didn't work.
They've done this before. All right, Donnie Spiker, final thoughts.
Yeah, not much. Just that one race this week. Hopefully I can race a little bit more. Life got busy again this week like it always seems to do. It's going to be picking up here pretty soon with the holiday season. But I was monitoring our group chat while we were talking, and it sounds like, according to David, that we got a reference sale through Sim Coaches. So that was cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, Sims Coach has been a great sponsor for us. What a partner. We love talking great hardware, and man, that's what they do. All right, Greg Hector's final thoughts.
Just excited to get going here in a race in a couple minutes at Laguna Sega in the KCE Racing League. I stepped away there. I don't know if you guys covered it. I kind of had an interesting week last week on the KCE League race. I won I won both the heat and the main event. Led all the laps in both the heat and the main event, and I also did the fastest lap, and sat on the pole for both races. So it's kind of, I don't think I've ever done that in my iRacing career on anything in it, and it was quite a feat, it felt like to me.
Is that the Grand Chelem?
I guess that's what it would be, right?
Yeah.
Too bad your car failed post race tech. That's too bad.
Oh.
And it was thrown out. That's too bad.
Well, if you talk to the guys, they're trying to create another Greg Hectus rule, and I don't know what this is going to be this time.
How about no Greg Hectus? That's
Yeah, they call that the old bastards league.
All right, we'll go get them tonight.
Yeah.
Okay, my final thoughts. Texas is tough, and I'm just not a fan of this track. They're bulldozing it, right? That's what I heard. I think they're gonna reconfigure it, something. Yeah, I'm ready for that. In fact, somebody kept mentioning the old Texas this week, and I was thinking about old Texas, and you know what? That was a lot funner to race. I mean, the way that people would come off two and spin down to the inside and slam that inside wall in the old, Gen 6 car. That's what I remember. But yeah, I'm looking forward to a different Texas track. But you know what? Talladega is coming. Talladega, right? That's my bread and butter, and can't wait.
Is that already next week, or is that after the Roval?
No, Talladega next week, and then the Roval after. So Mike's bread and butter on to my bread and butter.
That's right. Bread and butter. Let's go get that win. I don't have enough this year. I felt like I really didn't get it done at Daytona like I should have for the Daytona summer race. And so, man, I got to get this Talladega win. So, hey, we'll see you on the track later.